Welcome back to another edition of the I Prefer the 80s and 90s Sports podcast where I talk about why I prefer the sports of the 80s and 90s to today. Today's topic is boxing. And the reason why we're talking about boxing today is that the heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury, is going to fight Francis Ngannou in about a couple of hours for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. It is an interesting fight because Ngannou is not a professional boxer. He is a mixed martial arts champion, former champion fighter who's got hands that hit, apparently, like sledgehammers. And he wants to show that MMA fighters can handle boxers. And so I'm going to talk about this generation for a minute, and then I'm going to tell you why I prefer the previous generation. Boxing has been ridiculed, has been disgraced, has been destroyed over the last 25 years. It has been ridiculed, disgraced, and destroyed because of poor judging, because of poor fights, because it has lacked the charismatic figure that we want. But here's what's funny about boxing. Boxing is great when the heavyweight division is great, when the heavyweight champion is truly a heavyweight champion. And boxing is great when a champion of the heavyweight division, this is going to sound stupid, is American, is someone who is approachable, is someone who is not necessarily, this might be a bad word, but a monster in the social media realm. Meaning, in the social media realm, meaning he's everywhere. Who he's dating, where he's eating, what sporting events he's at. All these things make boxing fascinating because the heavyweight champ is the quote unquote, and I know people this generation hate this word, is the man, is the myth, is the legend, is every single thing. And we haven't had that in boxing in years. Evander Holyfield was a great champion. But Evander Holyfield was a religious man. You know, he wasn't really what we were looking for in a heavyweight champion. Because he got there the way he got there, and he earned his way, but he wasn't the dominant monster. Lennox Lewis as a heavyweight champion, if he was American, probably would have been more appreciated because Lennox Lewis was 6'5", 250 pounds, beat everybody who he fought except for Hasim Rahman, who he got revenge on. But he epitomized what the heavyweight champion should be. But he wasn't American. Vladimir Klitschko, same thing. Big Russian guy, handsome. I guess it was him or his twin brother was dating a Hollywood celebrity. I think it was his twin brother. It might have been him. I don't remember which one of them was. But again, epitomized what the heavyweight champion should look like and be like. But he wasn't American. And he didn't really appeal to American audiences. And so you say, what the hell has that got to do with anything? It's got everything to do with everything in terms of boxing. In the 80s and 90s, in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 20s, and the 30s, the heavyweight champion was the man. Frank Sinatra would do shows and he would go down and talk to the heavyweight champion. Loved Joe Louis. Muhammad Ali when he was heavyweight champion. Sammy Davis Jr. All those guys loved the heavyweight champion. Larry Holmes was a great heavyweight champion. But what killed Larry Holmes as a heavyweight champion was he was not as articulate as Muhammad Ali. He wasn't as pretty as Muhammad Ali. And essentially, when he lost, he wasn't respected as Muhammad Ali. Larry Holmes went 48-0 before he lost his first fight against Michael Spinks, which people think was kind of BS. Some people don't think he lost the first fight, and definitely a lot of people don't think he lost the second fight. But Larry Holmes, he was great to interview, great to talk to. Howard Cosell, he was a great fighter. That jab was amazing to watch. But boxing has been carried for the last 25 years by the little guys. It's been carried by Oscar De La Hoya. It's been carried by Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. Oscar's different because Oscar is Mexican American. It's beautiful to look at. Kept boxing alive. He is the only person that kept boxing alive. Floyd Mayweather was pretty too. But Floyd Mayweather angered media. And if the media don't like you, then they tend to kill your sport. They wanted Floyd Mayweather to be Sugar Shane Mosley. They wanted Floyd Mayweather to be Sugar Ray Leonard. So what am I saying out of all this nonsense that I'm saying is boxing lacked personalities that were American, that appealed to all Americans, and was dominant. Mike Tyson appealed to everybody because he was dominant. Mike Tyson's last name is an adjective. Now, I'm not disrespecting the other heavyweight champions in terms of what they accomplished. But a British heavyweight champion doesn't translate here in America because he don't care about America. And when we had an American heavyweight champion in the last 5-10 years, he essentially was invisible in America. And we basically didn't know anything about him. Deontay Wilder was a bad man. He has hands that hit like bricks, they said. But he lost to the Brit. But my point simply is that boxing has become a joke because of the officiating, because of the scores by the judges, is what I'm trying to say, not the officiating so much, but because of the scoring by the judges have been abysmal. And because the right people aren't the right champions. And yeah, I'm biased in that respect because I saw what it looked like. I saw what it looked like when we had American champion. I saw how America treats its champions in boxing. And what boxers don't understand, especially the black boxers don't understand, there's two ways to play this game. One, make yourself palatable to not only black people, but to white people. And two, beat so many people that they're forced to like you as you are. Simple as that. Everybody loves Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones is not as articulate as Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, but he can fight. Them hands ain't no joke. He was cocky as hell until Tarver tapped that head. Then he lost to Hopkins after he beat Hopkins years earlier. He wasn't the same once he started getting a little slower. He shamed boxing because he went from a middleweight and fought John Ruiz, who was a heavyweight. And if I recall, Ruiz beat Holyfield. And so it was talks that Roy Jones Jr. was going to fight Holyfield. Boxing has become disgraced also because boxers, for some reason, have let MMA push it out of the way. And now they're fighting MMA stars to gain some kind of popularity again. Because Tyson Fury beat an American champion, beat Wilder, give him his dose, give him his flowers. But American people, we won't know spit. Tyson Fury's got a Netflix special about his life, trying to make him more palatable to us. But they don't care. He don't care to be palatable to us. They don't fight in America. If we had an American heavyweight champion who was legit, who was the real deal, boxing fans would come back. If we had a middleweight champion, these little guys that are winning championships now, Terrence Crawford, perfect example. Terrence Crawford should be on cable television, should be on pay-per-view, and we should be paying $69 to see him fight. Instead, he's on ESPN. He just beat Errol Spence in the fight of the year that was supposed to be the fight of the year. He absolutely destroyed Errol Spence like he wasn't even there. And then you got the one young kid, the kid from Puerto Rican kid from New York, who wins the championship and he wants to retire. Teofimo Lopez, he wants to retire. Teofimo Lopez, he wants to retire. Instead of fight Ryan Garcia, fight some of these other up-and-coming superstars. Another fighter, Tank, who won his supposed toughest fight, destroyed Ryan Garcia. He can't fight because he's in trouble with the law. Combat sports is becoming more of a joke too, because why MMA fighters fighting boxers? MMA fighters, the difference between an MMA fighter and a boxer is boxers box. MMA fighters wrestle, kick, throw punches occasionally, but their main approach in their fights is to get you down on the ground and get you in submission hold, and that's it. They don't got the hands. Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather. And McGregor had a couple of good rounds, but he never hurt Floyd. He hit him with a couple punches, and Floyd laughed at him. And then started to beat the mess out of him. And the referee stopped the fight before McGregor got hurt. And McGregor was mad and saying, I want to go out on my shield. Don't save me. Let him knock me out. And McGregor hasn't won a fight since in MMA. Floyd is now retired, fighting people for spectacle. And then you got the Paul brothers fighting people who are MMA fighters, beating them, taunting them, basically saying that this ain't your game. Your game is MMA. Your game ain't boxing. And now tonight, we got a heavyweight MMA fighter who wants to fight the heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson Fury is not like any other heavyweight champion of the world. Tyson Fury has boxing skills. He's got hands. He's 6'7", 270 pounds. And then sometimes in fights, he gets his weight up to 290 pounds. That's how he beat Wilder, because he was too damn big. But they're going to fight soon. So I need to stop talking and go watch the fight. But the difference between today and the 80s and 90s, boxing in the 80s and 90s was respected. It started to fall off because of really bad decisions. It started to fall off because the fighters got too big for their britches. Mike went to jail. Sugar Ray Leonard had eye problems. Tommy Hearns, he had issues with, his speech and stuff, couldn't talk well. Roberto Duran disappeared. Oscar De La Hoya was the only person really fighting anybody. Then he started to lose, and once he started to lose, people were like, he's not invincible. Julio Cesar Chavez got old. HBO was the boxing place. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, HBO said, we done. They stopped doing it. They let Showtime take it over. They let pay-per-view take it over. Jim Lampley was the guy. And we watched these people grow into grown men. The Olympics. Boxing in the Olympics is invisible. The last Olympics, I didn't see one boxing match. And now I saw something that boxing is going to be in Los Angeles. Men and women. Didn't even see any of that. The last one in Paris is coming up next year. Will there be boxing? Well, do we have a boxing American team? I think we do. But I haven't seen anything or heard anything about any American boxer. Shakur Stevenson, I think, is the only person I've ever heard about boxing. Team USA. I watched a Netflix special about the guy who kept trying to make the boxing team. Boxing used to be one of the things that separated America from the world. And you say, what do you mean by that? When we had the heavyweight champion of the world, we had the best fighter in the world. Everybody remembers when Hitler was ruling the world and Max Schmeling was the heavyweight champion of the world. And he was undefeated and all this nonsense. And Joe Louis whooped that ass. We used to send fighters to Europe and around the world to give boxing clinics because we were the superior nation. Our Olympic teams were unbelievable. And yeah, Cuba was good. Russia was good. But that was the epic fight. To fight Russia, to fight Cuba, to fight, some of these big countries. Because boxing for people in Cuba was a way to get out of the country. And Russia is Russia. Russia was our adversary. People don't care about that now. And so I prefer the 80s and 90s sports boxing because boxing was king. Today, MMA is king. Very, very rarely in MMA fights do you hear people dispute the results. Kamaru Usman fought that guy, the British guy, and the rematch, people say, could have gone either way. But the first fight, Usman was kicking his man's butt for 4 rounds, for 4.5 rounds. And then they squared up with like 30 seconds to go, and the dude kicked him in the head and won the fight. Knocked him out. So I hope tonight Tyson Fury doesn't get knocked out or get beat, because that would really crush boxing. It might prove that Mike Tyson is a good trainer because he's training Ngannou. But if Tyson Fury loses this fight, boxing is finished. And then it's all sideshows. Then it's the Paul brothers, which is another topic at another time. Enjoy your Saturday.